one of the mystery about people, okay, what gives people the positivity, there's this word called hope. Okay, the word hope gives how do I say, the word hope, the word that you can equate with hope is a chance. When you have hope, you have a chance. When you don't know hope, that means you got no chance. So you always look at the big picture and you always be investing. Okay, I'm going to share a little bit more on investing in some.
Hey friend, welcome back to the 1010 Book Club channel. If you are new here, my name is Billy. I am a passionate learner based in Penang. On this channel, we explore books and the knowledge that help us to think and gain life wisdom. Subscribe to this channel if you have not. Today we are talking about take charge of your career. Your mind can be your greatest friend or your worst enemy. Today we have Meng Chai. I call him Meng Chai. You also can call him MC. And I know it's a very honored to get to know Meng Chai. I mean, for the past months ago, I have a quick chat with Meng Chai, and then he is a very humble, very knowledgeable person. So yeah, Meng Chai has been like 35 years of experience in both corporate and consultancy world, which gave him like a strong understanding of leadership and also managing stakeholders' expectation. I think that is his key strength and key focus. So he is also a independent non-executive director of two listed company in Bursa, Malaysia, Next Green Global Berhad and Equity Tracker Holding Berhad. So Meng Chai is also a senior consultant with Development Dimension International, a leading global leadership, development and human resource consulting firm. He is also an accredited coach with International Coach Federation, the ICF. And finally, how we get to know each other is this. He has the book. He is an author of the book called Take Charge, a practical guide how to design your career. So some people say if you compare the book like a biography book, say Einstein from Walter Isaacson, so that is a very huge book. So it's also very useful, but sometimes also I prefer books is not so bulky. It's very thin. It's like 100. I remember it's like 127 pages. It's like a shortcut of how can you take charge of your career, how you learn a bit of tips over there. And my personal liking is on the final part where on the design strategies, it's really like a simple kind of strategies, over strategies that you can learn yourself. So and today we are honored to have Meng Chai. Thanks again for coming and to share with us your experience, your knowledge with the book club community over here. Yeah, Meng Chai, the stage is all yours, and thanks again for coming.
Thank you very much, Billy. Thank you for the honor and privilege of sharing a morning with the people at Intel. I want to wish everybody also a happy new year and a good morning. If you could, yeah, share screen. Yep, okay. Now I know that for the next an hour, I'll probably take about 30 minutes just to run through my slides, and probably another 30 minutes in case there are any Q&As. Just a couple of slides this morning to help you think along about how you can take charge of your career. And I want to purposely use this particular topic, the heading here, to let you know that your mind is your greatest friend or your worst enemy. It's the way you think is going to decide how much advantage that you're going to have in your future. Specifically, I will touch on how to do less and yet achieve superior results. I'm going to show you a particular technique that I've been using in my career that I have helped a lot of people. So let me just start by setting up the stage as to how you look at your career. In my book, I talk about the phases of career. These phases of career, it's not divided by age or in any particular order to say that at this phase you are here, but to just give you a generic general overview about how I look at career and how it helped me as well when I look at that way. Now, phase one is where people generally join the workforce from the universities or from after they finish college, and they have little experience apart from what they have learned in universities or college. This is the time where you have a lot of theories, but very little practice. Now, this is the part where you explore boundaries of possibilities, learning the ropes, the tools, techniques, your processes, roles, and responsibility, things that you do it for the first time in the company and laying the foundation. I remember on the first day I started work, that was 1st August 1985, just after I left my studies. On the first day, my boss asked me to go to his office. In the office, he sat me down for an hour, and he shared with me. I started as an auditor, and as an auditor, we we are really junior. We really don't know anything. Yes, I'm from an accounting background. So I remember one particular phrase that in that 1 hour that it will stay with me for the rest of my life. And that is, he told, in using accounting language or audit language, he says, in the first year I'm with the company, I'm not an asset, I'm a liability to the business. It took me a bit by surprise. Until today, I still try to recall. I said, what? A lot of people are talking about employees and an asset, and I'm a liability? Yep, I'm a liability to the company in the first year. Why? Because I don't know anything. And the company has to teach me a lot of stuff. And in fact, whatever I do, the company is the one that faces the consequences of it. If I do the wrong thing, if I don't check a particular transaction well, and the boss has to sign off on the account. So in that sense, I'm a liability. So I always remember that. Now, what it basically means is that I'm still in the learning phase. And boy, did I learn. I spent 4 years in audit. I never stopped learning. I learned not only the accounting, the audit and all that, but I picked up a lot of additional skill. In the 80s, those days, we were just hearing Microsoft with his Windows. Everything is still on the floppy disk. There's no hard disk. There's no such thing as hard disk. So a lot of things I had to learn during that time. Then moving on, there's this phase 2 called applying. Once I got to some level of skill, now it doesn't go by age. You never stop learning. Once you're in the phase 1, when you go into learning, you are always learning until, even today, one of my primary motto is still learning. Okay, that's just me. I'm always learning. And I can be learning not necessarily from the people older than me or even my peers. I'm always learning even from the young, because there are a lot to teach me. There are a lot of things that is going on today in this world that didn't exist during my time. So I'm always learning. Now, second 2 is applying, because whatever you learn, you start applying. And this is where you are slowly building the foundation of your career, grounding your career game, assuming greater responsibility, and trying to distinguish yourself with others by how you apply from what you have learned. And this continues to go on as well, because as long as you learn, you are also applying. So it doesn't stop. You may start in a phase 2, but you don't stop. Now, phase 3 is a very interesting phase, because that's where you put everything together. Once you understand enough, you master processes, you start to take over a lot of what you call a significant responsibility, and you see significant results. This is the part that that your career should be almost at the peak already. Okay. Now, if you look at ages, you can see that probably 20s, 30s, 40s. Well, you can generally put under that. But some people take a long time in phase one, some people take a rather short time in phase one. So you can see people in the 20s achieving significant result as well. Well, because they spend a lot of time, they invest in themselves. I'm going to talk more about that. So phase three is in a growing. That's where you get all the glory from all the years of learning that you have. Now phase four, it's giving. So I'm in the phase four phase right now, where a lot of things that I've done over the years. Today, it doesn't really bring me much benefit, apart from sharing with others what I've learned, and hopefully can help others as well. This is where I will be leaving a legacy, either through sessions like this or write in the book form, so it pass on, the next generations can hopefully cut short their experience and pick up something from there. And hopefully by end of today or by end of this session, I will leave some impact for you guys as well. So you will go through phases like this. Doesn't matter whether some take shorter time, some take longer time, but you get there. That's generally the thing. Now, what I want to talk next is the mindset. I have always maintained a certain mindset in the way I look at things. And I want to kind of give you all the impression that it is very, very important to hold a certain mindset. In my case, I'm always looking things from a half full perspective. And there are people who somewhere along the way, they hold certain views, like they see things half empty. The glass is half empty, half empty. Somewhere along the way, they see half empty. I will show you some simple guide of how I look at things. And I always start with half full. It doesn't matter what you do, there's always some positive things behind it. Make strong effort to look at things from the positive perspective and from half full. I'm going to go into that in greater details. I'm going to start by asking some common questions that people normally ask, like, what are your life goals? And typically when I ask people what their life goals, the quickest answer I got is always, I want more money. Okay, so I think that's fine. It's a very common, and I think it's a very important goal, to say I want more money. Some say I want more time. Okay, I think this is fantastic. Both of these are important. You'll find there's very little thing you can do without money, and if you don't have the time to do it, also you have the difficulty doing that. Now, this is the part that I want to shift a little bit and show you a different way of looking at things. And I'm using myself as an example. If somebody asks me what's my life goal, I say just want to be happy. All right, it's simple as that, and that's always been my primary motto. Everything I do, I just want to be happy. I just want to be relaxed about things. So that's my premise of how I look at things. I just want to be happy. But having said that, is it easy to be happy? Well, maybe you got to start thinking about what makes you happy. So in my case, what makes me happy is, well, the well-being of my family. If they are doing well, they are feeling happy, that contribute to my personal happiness. What about health? Okay, yeah, healthy makes me happy. And another way of looking at things, having fun makes me happy. So I'm thinking about, okay, fun. And helping people, serving the community makes me happy. Having a peace of mind makes me happy. So when I say I want to be happy, I have to look at the sources of my happiness. Where is it coming from? And once I understand which are the primary areas of where the source of my happiness, then quite obviously, the sources of happiness is where I need to spend time thinking and doing something about. All right, so I know the reason why, and then I got to start to figure out how. Then how do you link back to the time and money? So time and money becomes a tool in order for me to be able to look after all the sources of my happiness. Example, if I want my family to be happy, I need to start about thinking about the money and the time. If I need to think about my health, yes, I need money and time. If I want to enjoy myself, I need money and time. If I want to serve others, I need money and time. If I want to be, look at my source of peace and well-being, I also need money and time. So you can see the connection is that the primary reasons of my primary existence is all about being happy. And then from happiness, I look at the sources of happiness. And then from sources of happiness, then I start thinking about what are the things that I can do to help achieve the happiness. Okay. So this is the connections. This is later you hear me talking about looking at big pictures. All right. Now, so sorry, let me look at next. I want to introduce, some of you may, from Intel, you probably may have heard this person by the name of Clayton Christensen. He died not too long ago, a couple of years ago. But he was the one that coined the word called disruptive innovation, which today is the buzzword for a lot of organizations when they talk about unicorns and all that. So disruptive innovation is about industry. It doesn't matter what industry. Now you get a lot of disruptions in industry today. Never probably in as much, in other centuries, but these centuries for the past 10, 15 years, major disruptions you can see. Industries are shaking out some into non-existence, literally. You can hear things like Airbnb, Uber, all these are disruptive traditional industries. Now, the reason I bring him into the picture is he brought a very simple example in looking at things. And what he did was he just looked at this little pencil. Now, pencil is such a simple instrument, but what he wants to bring forward to the point is that a pencil looks very simple, but if you look at the component of the pencil, you will realize that he said not a single party can claim responsibility to manufacture the whole pencil. As simple as a pencil. Now, why he say that? You look at the component of the pencil, you have the lead, you have the wood, you have the paint, you have the metal, you have the rubber. Now, there are 5 things already in there that makes up a pencil. Do you think there's one company that's responsible to do all the 5 things? And he says that no. So what basically that means is this. In this world that we live in today, it's very, very hard to try to do everything yourself. The need to collaborate to get things, make the results happen, to get things done, it's a norm. One person, if you try to do everything by yourself, you're more likely to get either very small results or probably not even get much results. So in disruptive innovations, he says organizations are looking at the concept called partnering, collaborations, teamwork, and all these things to make some results. Okay, so you will see me touching on all these things. I want to lay the premise of how we think, so that every time you get yourself into some kind of negative mindset, start looking back at the big picture, which I'm going to share a bit. All right. So my main topic is today, your mind is either your greatest friend or your worst enemy. And this is where I want to kind of get you guys to think about, very, very important to hold on to your mind. I used to joke with friends when I always tell them, I say, what is the most expensive real estate in the world? And they are trying to name me some places where it's very expensive. I don't know. To me, the most expensive real estate in the world is what is in here. Okay, that's my real estate inside here. Now, what basically that means is that I don't let it occupy stuff that doesn't make sense to me. I don't want to hear too much of things that kind of doesn't make much sense to me, especially it brings negative behavior or reaction to me. So I will always protect my mind, because that's the most expensive real estate. I don't let things that doesn't bring any benefit to me or anybody else sits inside me. So this is the part I say, stay on the positive lane. And I'm going to give you a few thoughts about how to stay in positive lane, and where you can get some ideas how to stay in the positive lane in your life. And the first one is always, and I use the word always, no exception. Always look at the big picture. I sometimes come across people having conversations, and somewhere along the way they forgot and they lose track of things. and they go through what we call the rabbit hole. You know, they go and do something, and then from there keep on going down deeper and deeper, but actually they miss the big picture. There's a lot of things I'm going to share about the big picture, and I'm going to give you a big picture. In my books, I talk about the big picture. I'm going to share with you the chapters of where I talk about the big pictures, and I'm going to give you some insight along the way there as well. The other one is always be investing. Now, investing is not just about money. Investing is about everything you do. I differentiate the other word that comes with investing is what we call transactions. If there is a simple analogy I would use is this. In our Malaysian culture, you will see there's something called pasar malam, or the night market. And if you go to night markets, and even not in Malaysia, but you go to anywhere in the world, when you travel, sometimes you go to this flea market or a market where you have a lot of stalls. Now, some of the common activities that go on there, you can see as you travel through the stalls and all that. You get a lot of hawkers selling stuff. But what will be the activities that generally you see happen, the interactions between the customers and the hawkers? You will see a lot of bargaining. And why do they need to bargain? I mean, if you walk in the mall, if you go to, you know, at a Gucci shop and all that, you try to bargain. I mean, you hardly see people bargain. But why is it in the traditional markets you see a lot of bargaining? So the premise of why they bargain is because the shopkeeper have this understanding somewhere along the way. It has been conditioned everywhere that the customers that they see, they are not going to see it again. They see them again. These customers comes and go, but you know, most of the time they are one-off customers, especially if you are operating in the night market where there are a lot of tourists. So you will hear the merchant, first of all, they go for very high price, because if they can make more money out of you, they will make more money out of you. Now, what is interesting is the customers, they themselves also have been educated that if I ever go into the night market or any of this market, flea market or pasar malam, I will need to bargain, because it would be silly for me not to bargain. And because the traditional understanding they have is that, you know, they're going to charge high price. So the first thing I go to do is bargain. And how do they bargain? So this is where it becomes a bit ridiculous. The stall owners will try to give you the maximum price, knowing that you're going to bargain. Now, here's the understanding. They think that you're going to bargain. So if you're going to bargain, I might as well make it very high price, so that to make you feel that when you bargain and I give you the discount, you win something. And the customers would like to have that as well. But the customer also know that you're going to give a very high price and I'm going to bargain as well. So what they do is that then they start having this conversation and they try to bargain. And the ridiculous thing is now you hear a lot of people, you know, when they go to these places, they say, I want a 50% discount. Off the bat, they want a 50% discount. 50% discount? You know what? Instead of the storekeeper being angry, the storekeeper will try to kind of reduce the discount, so that the song and dance will happen, you know, until they find a strike price and they agree each other. You get I think I make some money, and you think you get a good bargain, and then they close off the deal. Otherwise, they walk away. So now here's typically you can see also what happens. Now the customer, let's say he managed to close the deal at 30% discount or even 40% discount, feeling very happy that you have succeeded in pushing down the price. After walking a couple of streets, you'll find that there's the same product even selling cheaper, and that's where the regret come again. Now this type of activities is continue on, and I see is, you know, very, very common. Now, unfortunately, the reason why this activity exists is because the stall owners and the customers are looking things on a transaction basis. They see this as a potentially only one-off, and that we're probably not going to bump each other again. If I can get the best out of you, I will do that. And that understanding assumption is always there, and that's why they don't do anything else. I make one big deal out of you, I'm happy. When I talk about investing, is think long-term. Don't think transactions. In a flea market, you see a lot of bargaining happening like this is because everybody is short term. They don't want to see, they don't think that they can see each other again. They don't need to invest in each other. They see short term. Now, always be investing is everything you do. It's about investment. Okay, not just the money, but you invest in people, you invest in yourself, you invest in your mind, you invest in your health, in everything that you do, in conversations that you have with your colleagues, with your bosses and all that. Every interactions you have is all about investing. It's all about investing in each other. It's striking long-term relationship. So therefore, the conversations that you have with each other, always try to think about how do you preserve the long-term relationship you're going to have. All right. You always look at the big picture and you always be investing. Okay. I'm going to share a little bit more on investing in some of the chapters in my book later. Now, the third one is always identify and grow talent. I find this a neat advantage for me in my career. As I was building my career, I have this natural tendency, or it could be a me thing, that I always look at people, and I always think about, you know, what can I do? What could I do to help them be better? You know, the things that the way they think, the way they speak, or the way they do things. I feel privileged, and I feel that you know, when I help them, especially when they get results, you know, it's so much more satisfying. And what I do is I always identify talent and grow talents. So it become natural, and I don't do it within the company. I also do it outside the company. It's become a personal habit of mine that it doesn't stop. Okay, so you will hear me talking a little bit more, and I have specific technique on how to do that as well. Right. The fourth part is always trust. Now, a trust is something that is very, very difficult to do. The reason is because the most important foundation of any relationship is trust. But you notice I put in bracket, okay, not you trust, but a lot of people feel uncomfortable when they trust. They say, and what happens if I get betrayed? Yes, okay, that do happen as well. And what you do, that's why I put a bracket. I say, but yeah, you trust, you always trust, but you be prepared. And I give you some strategy about how to get yourself prepared, you know, even when you trust. But whatever happens, that you do not stop trusting. You still trust. And trust is not about trusting just people, but other people. There's a lot of things that trust can apply to. You also can trust yourself. Trust that you have what is needed to succeed. And don't think that you don't have enough. You have, okay? Whatever you do, trust the process, trust the time, trust things, all right? Have confidence about things that is going to happen well for you. And that's the positive mindset that I want you guys to start having. And another part about is always ask the right questions. Okay, and you see I use the word always again. This is where people sometimes do struggle when they find themselves stuck, you know. And if you're not careful, you questions rather than ask questions. Now, what's the difference between asking right questions and questions? Example, questioning is like this. Why are you always like this? You know, why must you always pick on me? This is a question, but you find that kind of question is very disturbing. You know, it's a very challenging way of question that makes people feel uncomfortable. So these type of questions, I say, you may want to avoid. And this is what I call the wrong type of questions. I will give you specific example how to ask the right questions and get to the results that you are looking for. And I'm going to get you guys to go into a bit of a role play with me afterwards when I ask those questions, and we can test it out, whether the questions I ask works for you. And if you think it works for you, keep those questions. The other thing I find is people are very generally give instructions, especially, you know, if you have staff and managers, because of their position and because of their authority, because of their experience and knowledge and all that, they tend to give instructions. You know, do this, do that. You know, why don't, you know, just get this done. they often do go into the instruction mode. I want to get you guys to do a bit of a shift by learning how to apply the asking question part. All right. So so these are some of the things. Now there are a lot more things that you can get to do in a positive lane, but I just want to drop for you guys a couple of them. And I use the word always so that you understand that, well, there shouldn't be any exception to this rule. And I use that very all the time at the big picture. So in my book, I have a couple of chapters that talks about that. I'm going to show you the few chapters here, and I'm going to pick one and I'm going to talk about it. Now, in principle one of my book, I talk about your career is your business, okay? And these are the big picture type of thinking, okay? Always think bigger is a principle 3 I talk about. Create alignment. Decide your own pay. Some people don't understand what that means. Design strategy, know your numbers, get that testimonial, all right? Get your house in orders, aim for work-life balance, and set clear financial goals. So these are what I call the big pictures. Now, I'm going to start with a simple one as to use the first one. I mean, we don't have time to cover everything, but I just want to use the principle number 1. Why I use that as principle number 1? Many people that I come across, they see career as an employee-employer relationship. Now, for the rest, for the entire career, they see as an employer and employee relationship. The moment I see you go into that mode, I find you lose certain amount of advantage, where you surrender some control to the organization and allow the organization to dictate some of the things to you on their terms rather than on your own terms. When I want to think about career as a business, I've always looked career as a business. I share a simple example of how to look at your career as the business. Imagine I use a very simple business model. Imagine if you are a plumber, all right? Now, how does a plumber work? How does a plumber get business? The plumber get business not by sitting at home and assuming that people is going to call them. If nobody knows they exist, nobody calls them. If they don't put out the word that they are there, they are doing a plumbing job, nobody will call them. All right, they have to make the effort to show that, hey, I'm here, I can do the job. If you have a problem, I can help solve the problem. They have to let the world know what they are doing and whether they can solve the problem. And then there's a chance that people may call them and even refer them, to say, hey, if you want a plumber, my neighborhood, if I call my neighbor, hey, you know any plumber? And my neighbor will say, yeah, I used this plumber before, he's very good, and you can call, and here's the number you can call. You see, somebody is willing to talk good about you and refer you. All right. Now, how many of us do that at work? Then think the way to do that at work, and thinking that, would people talk good about you in behind you and refer you, Now, if you're a plumber, you arrive at a customer's place when they call you. What do you do? What's the first thing you do? You ask questions. Okay, sir, madam, you called me. What's the problem? Then the customer will describe the problem that they have. And then what do? Then say, okay, let me take a look at the problem. Now, you start looking at the problem, and then you start thinking about, how to solve the problem, and the work that's needed to solve the problem. Is it a one-man's job? Is it a two-man's job? You think about what kind of tool that's needed to solve the problem. You think about how much time it's going to take to solve the problem. You think about if you need to have certain skill to solve the problem. These are all your responsibilities. Now, how many of you have come across that you call a plumber to your house and you as a customer tell the plumber, I think you should have this skill. I think, did you bring this tool? You need that tool to do the business, and will tell you and say, okay, this is the way how you should, fix this. Does the customer have to tell you all these things? In fact, if the customer tell you all this, is something wrong with the customers. Now, no customers will ever do that. And this is where you got to start thinking that you take responsibility for your business. Your little business called the plumbing job is your entire responsibility for your skill set, for your customers, for solving the problem, and even deciding how much you think they should pay you. Okay, now if you are smart and if you are good, this is what the customer did for me one time when I was away traveling. My house tank, okay, we had the tank in the top of the house, burst one day and the water was gushing out. And someone in my family says, hey, look, the water is gushing out, overflowing. We need to get it fixed. We need to have a plumber. And I was in Hong Kong with my wife and my family and my children as well. I said, oh my gosh, okay, now we got to start thinking about. So I got to get my neighbor help. Like they have my keys and say, okay, let's contact a plumber. So they helped to reach out a plumber. So the plumber came over, my neighbor let him in and went to the roof of the house and looked at the whole thing, got it fixed. Okay, happy, I'm away, he got everything fixed. But what the plumber did next, okay, and this is to his credit, that he went, because he was in the roof of the house, he started looking around the roof and he saw, hey, you know, you may have some leakage on the roof. Would you like me, I'm taking a look at it, would you like me to help seal up some of these, you know, leakages in case it heavily rain and then, you know, you have leakage there. Guess what? I don't know about it, but I'm happy that if you think you can fix it, I'm more than happy. So guess what? What he did was he went and fixed the roof and seal up some of the holes and all that and took the pictures and sent it to me in Hong Kong. And it's, well, fantastic. How much? Then he did tell me how much. I said, okay, thank you very much. And I paid him and transferred the money to him in the bank. Now, what he did was, he was a plumber, but he went out his way and then he looked for other areas of where he can make my, you know, help me make things better, and which I'll gladly pay him. He was thinking about his business, but in thinking about his business, he's thinking about using his business to add value to me. Now, if you look at design strategy, decide your own pay. Most people don't think about that. They think that the pay is decided by the company, you know, that you don't have a choice because they're doing the evaluations on you. But if you decide your own pay, well, it's just like a business. All right, what do you want? Now, the moment you want more, then ask yourself, what are you doing to get more? Okay, don't let the company decide for you and say that, hey, I need to send you for this training. I think you need this, and nobody need to tell you what you need. If you want something, if you want to think your career as your business, you decide the pay that you want, and you think about what you need to do to help to get that into that pay. Okay, so start strategizing things like this. Now, I talk a lot about looking at the big picture. Before you do anything, just keep on having this big picture. Now, design strategy about getting that testimonial, I'm going to show you an example of that. So design strategy number 17 about why it's important to do that. Okay. Now you guys can ask me questions as well later on. So I'm going to leave some things open for you guys to ask me questions. Always be investing. I have chapters that talk about that. Principle 2, your biggest in your investment, attain mastery, have a skill not related to work, design strategy, get a coach, a mentor. You're only as good as your last game. You know, the 4 important relationships. Be visible. Okay. So let me see. And last but not least, you can get this do not gossip. There are things inside here that you need to invest on. I mentioned earlier on, but it's not just about investing money, investing yourself in investing in other people. But you can see, example, design strategy 3 about getting a coach and mentor. Go back to what Clayton Christensen say. Try not to do everything yourself and just rely on your own experience and do things too. You need to have certain intuition to getting results. But if everything is going to depend on you alone and your experience along the way that you get better and all that, you are not leveraging. You're taking a very long time to get results in your career. And if you are a bit smarter, and what you do is you get a coach or mentor. You know, these are the people that has already journeyed on. They spend so much time. They make so many mistakes. why wouldn't you want to let them share about some of their mistakes or some of their learnings, so you can shortcut and you can get results faster? Now, here's the problem when I talk about investing. You need to invest in a coach. And I don't mean to say that you need to invest and pay money. Yeah, sometimes you need to pay money for a coach, but guess what? A lot of times you actually don't need to pay money for a coach. If you could be a person that someone happy to coach, okay, happy to mentor. Now, from that perspective, you got to learn how to attract coaches and mentors in your life. I use the word attract. Sometimes even paying money doesn't mean that person wants to be your coach or mentor. And if you get a good coach or mentor, a lot of time it is worth your while. Sometimes even you don't need to pay, but you invest in it, make it worth the while for the coach or mentor to want to do it, because they don't want to waste their time working with the wrong people. All right, so design strategy is, if you're smart, borrow the experience of other people, leverage on it, and shortcut your own career success. Principle 2 talk about you as the biggest investment. Again, go back to invest. Don't stop investing. Okay, you just keep on investing in yourself and you never stop. So again, I can never stop talking enough about this. The other part is about there are so many chapters I can talk about. Another part is to identify and grow talents. Just a couple of points over here when I say grow talent, and this is also part of leveraging as well. So, such a huge mistake to sometimes just work long hours and think that you have in the talent. And I say hard work and talent, they are not enough. Okay. Going back to what Clay Christensen talked about, it's about disruptive innovation. It's about how do you get to leverage people, teams, and everything around you to get results. If you are talking about hard work, if you're talking about talent, it's still all about yourself. Oh, I have this talent. Oh, I got this skill. Oh, I work very hard. I work very long hours. Yes, all those are good. Continue to keep it. But I'm saying it's still not enough. You got to be smart. Okay. And I hear this so often about people saying that work hard, work smart, don't work hard, don't work. But when I ask them, I say, okay, give me some example. How do you work smart? You know, they can't give me some specific example how to work smart, but they use the word very easily. Work smart, don't work hard. Work smart, don't work hard. I'm sharing with you, here are some of the ideas about how to work smart. Okay, not just work hard. So hard work and talent is not enough. Okay, so a couple of points that you get inside here as well. Understanding the important relationship. Okay, I use the word for important relationship, and some people use that at a 360 degrees. You know, your boss, your colleagues, your subordinates, or the people outside your circle. Okay, they are someone about get everybody addicted to you. This one is this is the thing that people are doing these days, and then you probably don't associate. Now I'm going to show you the association. Now, my children sometimes they use acronyms like KOL. Oh, you're a KOL. What's a KOL? And they use the word influencer. They use the word, thought leaders. So these are the buzzwords they you can hear people using KOL, influencers, thought leaders, and all. What does that mean? Now, basically, is that people come to you. Okay, if you look at Instagram, you look at TikTok and all that, wow, a lot of people, they go and watch. And Elon Musk, you can see millions of followers on the Twitters and all that. Why? Because people are addicted to them. When they are addicted to them, you have a significant advantage. When people are addicted to you, you get to influence. Okay, you become an influencer. So then you got to start thinking about, how to get people addicted to you. Okay, now then that's the mystery you got to solve. What do you have that people are addicted to you about? Okay, so get people addicted to you, and then you have the ability to influence. I use the word trust. Okay, always trust, but be prepared. Okay, now there's a lot of things I can talk about in trust. So I'm going to list out all the things in the chapters I talk about trust. It is so important that I don't want to kind of miss out on anything, that talk about trust. Now, now trust is, you always have to trust, but you got to be prepared. Now, what that means is that, you're adaptable, you're prepared. Okay. you trust, but you are prepared, which means that you still go ahead. You want to have the confidence. Your confidence is that you are not only confident of the success, but you're also confident when things doesn't work out the way that you want to. Okay, and this is where I have a lot of insight here that I talk about interview, how to be selective. Now, be selective about the organization, the industry, the bosses that you work for, and then I always understand that nobody is indispensable, and also thinking about actually how do you know when to quit, and also thinking about how do you see promises. Promises is just words, okay? So how do you discern that in promises, and do you get to the point where sometimes you become cynical, no, not this person, okay? Well, here's the thing. Always trust. That means you still give the benefit of doubt to the other person, okay? Give the benefit of doubt, trust, give the trust, but do not just give the benefit of doubt and trust and don't do anything else. Still be prepared. And I'm talking about these are the things that you do to prepare, okay? How to look at things and then take some preparatory steps. Now, when you take preparatory steps, doesn't mean you don't trust. All right, just that you build safety net to increase your confidence on doing things. And a specific example I can give is I learned this very early in my career when I was doing an audit and I was auditing a client. And this client, the head of the department, is a finance admin manager. His name was Mr. Chong. And when he told me, he says, hey, no, today I can't spend much time. I'm going out for an interview now. So openly, he talked to me, and it's like, huh? You mean you go to interview, you tell the whole world that you're going for interview? And later he shared with me, and we had a chat, and then he said, yeah, I go for interview. Oh, I want to interview. He said, interview can do a lot of things, you're prepared, you're more, it builds your confidence, you know what to say, you have a good posture. If you don't like it, you can always turn it down. You don't have to worry. And and you get a lot of practice because you understand the type of the way the question comes and the way you handle them. And guess what, sometimes you may be lucky that you get a good offer, and this offer gives everything that you want, and and you can always decide whether you want to go or not to go. Okay, and most people, when they work, they don't actually know their market value. They spend so much time at work, they actually don't know how much they are worth. And then when you attend interview, you can actually test yourself how much you're worth by, sharing what you know and how you can do a certain job, and let them tell you whether or not you're worth that much. So it's all about marketing. So attend interview. It's all about getting the practice. A lot of time people attend interview because they want to leave. It's like 90% of the time people attend interview because I get fed up, I don't like it, I just want to leave, and they attend the interview. And most time when they go into that attending of the interview because they don't like where they are right now, their posture drops. They don't have good posture. Why? Because the desperation of wanting to leave shows in their interview. They don't have posture. Imagine if you love your job, you would really like to stay. Guess what? The other side got to give you a lot more if they think that you are worth it, and they will keep increasing their offer. But the moment they detect, it's like selling your house. If you're desperate to sell your house, the buyer will know, they push down the price. But if you're not, okay, and your house is beautiful, guess what? People want to buy your house, they have to keep upping the offer to buy your house. So understand that kind of process and mindset. Now, always ask the right questions, not questions or give instructions. I'm going to give you a specific example, and I want to see whether you can play along with me. I give 4 examples over here. The way I have conversations with my people when I was in the corporate world. Okay. Now, these 4 scenarios here, I want you to put yourself in the scenario is as though I am having a conversation with you, and you are the colleague in the organization. Now, I use questions to achieve certain objectives. All right. There are many scenarios you can use depending on what scenarios and what are questions that you can use for that scenario. I created 4 scenarios here that you can use the questions to, for yourself. One scenario is about finding successor. All right, I use this scenario to find successor, and then I'll use okay, the next one I use the scenario questions here to create an interest for people to improve. All right, I use another scenario here, how to make deal to help someone. Okay, making a deal. I make deals with people, and I use scenario here, how to seal the deal to secure commitment. All right, so I want you to follow through some of the questions I asked, and I want you to imagine the answer you will give if I'm going to have this conversation with you. Now, you can have different answers, don't worry, okay? I'm talking about probability here. If you ask this question, what are the probabilities of the answers it's going to give? Now, over here, there are 2 sets of questions that will ask what we call open-ended question and closed-ended question. You can see strategically how I use open-ended questions, strategically how I use closed-ended questions. And I use it in the mixed one to get the kind of results that I'm looking for. And I want you all to, once you understand how this works, use it to create a chance. If you need to do is create a script for yourself in putting together a set of questions, and then think about possible answers. And if you don't think you're going to get the answers you're looking for, keep tweaking your questions until you think you're probably going to get the answers you're looking for. So I'm going to give you an example here. So now I'm going to start with the first scenario, find a successor. So watch and see how I use the question very, very deliberately. Okay, I don't waste time in that sense. Okay, because when I go into a certain mode and I'm looking for answers, I'm a bit focused when you see the questions I come across. So if I sit down with somebody and I want to look for a successor, and this will be the opening type questions I use. Okay, I say, so where do you see yourself in 3 to 5 years from now? Yeah, these are open-ended questions. I can, what kind of answers they can come, I just, wait for them. I'm going to share with an example of the answer I got and what I did with it. Okay, where do you see yourself 3 to 5 years from now? Okay, and whatever answer they give me, then I say, okay, why is that important to you? What I want to do is I want to explore. I want to understand the person better. Okay, so these questions help me to understand. So why is that important to you? And then I will ask questions like, what are the consequences if you don't achieve that? Okay, I want to have a sense of how strong the feel they have about the choice they want to make. All right, so what are the consequences if you don't achieve that? And okay, so if this is important to you, what are you currently doing to achieve that? Okay, and I know if it's important, they should be doing something. Or if they are not, then I would like to know more. So on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being low and 10 being high, how confident are you in achieving your future role based on your current progress? Now, this is where I want to test them now. Because if you are telling me all the things you've been telling me, that what you see yourself 3 to 5 years from now, what's that important to you, what are the consequences? If you give me all the answers and consistently you tell me, then I want to know, how confident are you in achieving your future role based on your current progress? Okay, now, whatever the answer they give, then I will do a follow-up questions. Okay, so what do you need to do to get? And most of the time they don't give a 10. Okay, now even if you get a 10, I'll be very happy. Then I will say congratulations, you're on track, and I will do all the things just to make sure that I give them the right blessings that they do, and I will still know how to help them as well. But if they don't give me a 10, they give me a 5 or 6 or 7, doesn't matter. Then I say, what do you need to do to get to this number, to a 10? Okay, now they either have an answer or they don't. All right, but if they have an answer, I will evaluate their answers. All right, but if they don't, I say, well, if there's a way to achieve your future, help you achieve your future role faster, or can I use the word faster, would you be interested to explore? Okay, so now this is my closing questions. My closing question is to gauge their interest. So I'm looking for a successor. I just want to make sure that I find the right person who is interested, who at least on paper must be interested. Rather, I want to assume. Okay, if they demonstrate to me they are interested, I know where to start, because if at any time they show lack of interest and all that, I will always come back and say that, well, what happened to what you want, so I got their permission for me to work with them, and they demonstrated, at least on paper, they are keen. Okay, so, and do I get other answers? Of course I get other answers. So here's the example I'm going to give you. In one of the instances, I was helping this staff of mine, and I asked her, I say, so where do you see yourself 3 to 5 years from now? Now, I was the CFO in the company, and she was my assistant, you know. And I asked, and then here she was, you know, working with me in the finance team, and the answer she gave me, like, okay, no, she told me that she want to run a restaurant. Okay, then I said, okay, now I'm thinking about, okay, you know, you are accounting, you're running a restaurant, so it's like a completely different part of the world, you know. Now I got to find a way to bring this closer. So I say, okay, so why is that important to you? Why are you interested to want to run a restaurant? So, okay, so she gave me the background that when she was young, you know, her mom was running a restaurant, and she has this desire, want to do something like a F&B outlet, like Coffee Bean or Starbucks, you know, where it's very high, very nice, you know. I said, okay, that sounds good. Then I asked her, what are the consequences if you don't achieve that? Then I want to gauge her motivation level about why she wants to do that. So there is a bit of a conversation around there. I say, okay, so what are you currently doing to achieve that? Okay, then she shared a little bit about one learn. I say, okay, now I use the scale of 1 to 10, how confident you are, and you know, what do you need to do from this to a 10. Now remember, it's still not accounting. Okay, it's still something else very different from what we are doing at work. But what I did was I add on something. Now, this is the part where when you ask questions, pay attention to the answers. So when she was saying all these things, and I was thinking, okay, and I think it's perfectly fine. And I remember just now I talked about trust people. I trust that she's genuinely interested in want to do that, okay? And I'm not worried or concerned that she's going to leave, all right? But I'm also very interested to still help her. This is the part about growing talent. So some of the things you talk about growing talent, you're going to pick up some from here. So I spoke to her. I said, okay, if you're going to run a business, okay, share with me what sort of skills do you need to be successful in this business. Okay, example, you got to be good maybe in your F&B skills, you got to be doing marketing. But one question I was looking for was, do you need to be good, you know, in managing your numbers? Okay, because any business you need to manage your numbers. You need to manage, make sure that you're making a profit or sales, basically looking at number, keeping your expenses low. Need to be good at making. They say yes, of course, managing the cash flow. I say, okay, so if these are the skills that you need to be successful in running a business, but now that you are working here and these are the skills that you are doing right now, okay, and learning, does it make sense if you pick up some of the skills from here, even when you leave and run your own business, that you can use this skill? Then she said yes. I say, okay, good. So let's look at where you what are the specific skills that you need so that we can help you get there. And guess what, you know, and she become even more motivated to work because she get a chance now to learn what are the things that you need to do to be successful in the business. Okay, so I got her to move from somewhere that she wants to go back into the business, and in fact, not only that, but actually more motivated to want to learn more. All right. I didn't stop there. You know, when you really want to help people, don't just help people for your own sake. It's not about that, okay? That will be a bit manipulative. But if you really want to help people, help people. So what I did was, you know, when I was free, and I happened to Google and look for how to run a successful restaurant, and I saw that there were some seminars on that, and I sent it to her and said, hey, look, you know, her name was Kim, and said, Kim, you know, there's this seminar coming out, how to run a successful restaurant. Would you like to go and attend and find out more, since you say you want to run a restaurant? And then she said, yes. Okay, so then she took time off, and you know, of course she paid herself, and she went and attended the seminar, how to run a successful restaurant. And when she came back, I asked, okay, so how was the session? And she said, no, I don't want to run a restaurant anymore. There's a lot of work. They're so hard. You know, it's not only running the restaurant. Before restaurant, there's a lot of work to do. There's a lot of things to do after that. There's a lot of activities between, very long hours. I don't want to run a restaurant anymore. So And then she decided not to run the restaurant. Okay, and then we have a different set of conversation. Okay, now this different set of conversation, I can go into a bit of a part two. Okay, now I can still stay in part one. So anyway, I'll ask her. I said that okay, now that restaurant is not something that you are interested in, what would be something that interests you next? You know, if you 3 to 5 years from now. She looked at me and said, yeah, I'm thinking about, you know, taking over your position. Then I say, okay, good. I was the CFO of the company. If you want to take over CFO, I'm more than qualified. And because I know what to do, I know how to do, I'm more than qualified to help you. I said, well, if that's the case, well, would you like it if I help you how to achieve that? And she said, yes. Okay. Now, I'm going to add on how this conversation subsequently was helpful in my dealing with her, even before I go into the next scenario. Sometime down the road, there was an incident in my company, and there was a big argument outside the room. I hear slamming of the cupboard and the cabinet and shouting. Then I came out of the room, and I was like, what's happening here? So apparently this particular staff of mine was having argument with another manager, and they were just, you know, literally shouting at each other at top of their, you know, hot voice. And I was saying, okay, Kim, would you like to talk about it? And yeah, she stepped into my room and then we had a chat. Then I asked, you know, so what's the problem? You know, and then she was relating to me all the disagreement and all that, and how unhappy and how unreasonable things were. So, and here I am. I'm not solving their problem. Okay, I'm not solving her problem, but I'm just want to understand what's going on. So the next thing, and then as she was sharing with me, she was tearing up. You know, she was literally tearing up. So I say, okay, Kim, okay, let's talk a little bit about, you know, how to help you. And I said, well, Kim, remember the other day the conversation we talked about what you want to do in a couple of years from now, and you say you wanted to be a CFO. And she said yes. I said okay. So I said, Kim, now watch and see how I ask questions, and I don't tell her. So Kim, if you're going to be a CFO of an organization, how many people, how big a team do you think you have? I'm not putting down here, but I want you to hear the question I asked. How big a team that you think you're going to have if you if you have CFO? Is it a big team or is it a small team? Or would you like a big team or small team? And she said, yeah, of course you like a big team. You know, CFO run the whole department, a lot of finance. So it's a big team of people. I said, okay. If you have a big team of people, what kind of people do you think you're going to have in the team? Are they all the people that is very nice, lovely, and listen to you and work with you voluntarily in all the time? Or are you going to get some people, some group of people that is going to be a bit more difficult? Well, to be fair, yes, you get good people, but you also get difficult people. Okay. I say, which is the group of people that is harder to work with? Of course, the difficult people is going to harder. I say, okay. Which one that is going to require a lot more skills to work with? You know, the difficult people is going to take a lot more skill. I say, okay. So where do you find the skill to work with the difficult people? Well, you got to learn, you got to practice. I say, okay. So if you're going to learn, you're going to practice working with difficult people. When do you want to start? Okay. Now the next one I want you to do is how do you create an interest for people to improve. Most times I find either managers have difficulty getting people to move along with them. So I want to show you how I do it. I set up a stage, all right? I will ask the questions. It doesn't matter who, any staff that can come to me, I will ask them. I say, what is more important to you, more time or more money? Or any other things. What's more important to you? Okay, so they'll give me an answer. You want more time, you want more money. Whatever the answer you give me, I will have a follow-up questions. Why do you pick that one? Okay, so they will share with me. Okay, and I'm listening. Now remember, it's all about me understanding them, understanding about their motivations and all that. Okay, so and here is where I want to find a way to help them. I say, if there's a way to get more of this without much sacrifice, would you be interested to explore? Now, you see, again, I'm doing a close. I'm asking them where they are and all that, and then I'm giving them an opportunity to decide whether they want. Now, when I do this, I've already solutions already in place. The only difference is that I'm not taking the solution as shoving down their throat. What I do is I use an approach to get their permission for me to work with them, but they have to tell me. Now, it is okay. Later, you can ask me questions, or if they give a different answer, more than happy to give you, my thoughts about that. And if they do that, then I say, okay, that means they demonstrate to me an interest to want to improve. And then I'm ready to help them. Okay, so that's scenario 2. All right. Then I go to the scenario 3 is about making a deal to help someone. Sometimes, even though they are interested and all that, but you need to still make a deal. Okay, so I want the deal to be a bit solid. And here's what I do and the questions I ask. Now here, I use a big picture questions, then after that I go back in again. I say, okay, would it be fair to say that any company is willing to pay more for increase in productivity and growth? Yes. What do you think the answer is? Now I want you to imagine now I'm talking to you. What answer can you give me?
Absolutely.
Other than a yes. Okay. So now let's use Billy. Billy, I work with you as an example. Okay. Are you okay with that? Now you give me the answer. Okay. Now the rest of you sit back and ask yourself, what answer would you be able to give me if I ask these questions? Okay. So imagine, Billy, I ask you, would it be fair to say that any company is willing to pay more for increase in productivity and growth?
Yep, sure.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Okay, good. So now this is the answer I'm looking for, right? Okay. Then the next question is that how easy or hard will it be for you to achieve 30 to 50% increase in productivity or growth?
Not easy, but doable.
Yep. Okay, not easy, doable. Okay, good. So now here is where I gauge already. Okay, I gauge. I can also ask you, if you say not easy, I can pause, I can go back into and I can create another follow-up question and say, okay, so when you say not easy or doable, can you give me some specific instance as to what you're doing right now to get a 30 to 50% increase in productivity or growth? See, now, so I can go in detail and ask you for your specific steps. All right, and then I know that the answer you give me are not superficial. I can go. So I'm ready for follow-up questions. All right. So now, whatever the answer they gave, so yeah, it's hard. It's not easy. So I say, doing what you are doing right now, would it be fair to say you are currently receiving 100% pay for doing 100% work by using 100% of your working time? Now. Okay, so think about this. Think about this question I'm asking. You are currently receiving 100% pay. 100% pay, that means whatever the pay the company has agreed to pay you, correct? If the company agrees to pay you 5,000, that's the amount of pay you're getting right now because both of you agree on it. Okay, so 100% pay. by doing 100% work. 100% of work, that means is inside your duties and responsibility. You know, when you agree to work, the company will give you duties and responsibility as your role and responsibility, which you agree. That is 100% of the work, right? So now 100% of the time, 100% of the time, that means the time that you agree to give to the company. It could be 8 hours a day, okay, 9 to 5, you get 8 hours a day. So that's the time that the company have locked you in. Okay, that's 100% of the time. So most people are in this relationship with the company, receiving 100% pay, doing 100% work in 100% of the time, all within the confine of what you agreed with the company, and the company has agreed with you. Agree?
Yes.
Okay, so fine. Now, if you want to increase, if you want an increase in pay or more time for yourself, which part would you change? No, okay, you see, not you're getting 100% pay, you're doing 100% work and doing 100% time. So now if you say you want to have more pay now, okay, which is not something that everybody wants. So tell me, what part do you need to change?
I think it's the work.
Okay, work. So what does that mean? So what does that mean, work?
To see how to tweak the work part lah. Is it work a bit, like I say, for lack of work, a bit smartly on the work?
Yeah. So here's the only thing you can change is that you got to find a way to increase from your 100% of the work to 120% to 130%. Because the way of how some people work is, now they're using 100% of time, which is 8 hours. So how do they work? Some people work 10 hours, some people work 12 hours. So they can, to get more pay, they extend the working time. Okay, above and beyond the agreed time, you give more time to get more pay. So some people work overtime, I think, which is fine. All right. Or another way you change is by increasing productivity, by getting 120%, 130% of the work within 100% of the time, or even 120% of the time. So you need to tweak the equation if you want more pay, because that's the way the company works. All right. So after you give me an answer, I will ask you another question. Since you're willing to explore to improve your productivity, so what do you need to complete 100% of your work? What do you need to complete 100% of your work in 70% of the time? Now, the idea is, can you do the same amount of work with less time? You think it's possible?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Now, do you know how to do it if I ask you? Do you know how to do it?
Not yet.
Okay.
I think doable lah.
Okay, doable. Fantastic. So here's the thing. So when I ask this question, now whatever answers they give, even if they say, yes, I know what to do, then I can go down and ask them a question. Okay, so can you share with me what are some of the things that you're doing right now that help you get 100% of the work done? Now, I'm not looking increase in terms of the work amount of work. I'm just asking and see, are you able to squeeze more time? Doing the same work, but squeeze more time out of your time in a day. All right. So I'm basically looking for the slack time. Okay. Now, if you have, I say fantastic. Okay. But if you say you don't have, do you need help? That's where you can say, okay, let's agree. So now, is there a way? If there's a way for me to show you, how would you be interested?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. All right. So you can see my questions is all designed to help someone. Okay, so if you don't know how to do 100% of work in 70% of the time, we can talk about it. But if you can do 100% of work, okay, by yourself in 70% of the time, okay, then we can find a way for me to now help you in a more serious way. All right. So now that leads me to the final scenario. Okay, how I seal the deal with people when I help them. Okay, and this is the part where I call sealing the deal to secure commitment. Again, I go through a series of questions. Now I just practice this often enough to know how to ask questions and know how to add additional questions or what I call follow-up questions. I encourage you all to play around with it. Okay. So now, how do you seal a deal? So now that you're confident to complete 100% of the work at 70% of the time, what do you plan to do with the 30% of the time saved?
Good
Isn't
question.
it? Yeah. Okay. So you can always give me some ideas what you want to do with the 30%. Now, this 30% is not extra time. This 30% is still within office hour, remember? Right now, because I'm just saying that you do exactly what you're doing right now at 70% of the time, which means that I'm not taking extra time out of your work. Okay, still within your work, but now you are just getting better, but you have 30%. So what do you intend to do with the 30% of the time that you saved? What do you want to do? So you can tell me, correct? Now, whatever you tell me, then I can ask a follow-up questions like, okay, if you do, if you are doing this 30%, are you using this 30% to grow yourself? All right. So you can use the 30% to grow yourself, or would you like to use the 30% to grow yourself with my help? All right. So now we are looking for ways of how you can improve without losing any part of yourself. Now, this 30% time, remember, is still in the office time. All right. Now, I want to see whether are you willing to dedicate this 30% to do something for yourself, but with my help. And you say yes. So if you keep using the 30% time saved within the working period to improve yourself, what will happen to your skill, knowledge, and experience? All right. So you can have a version of that thinking. Now, would you agree that growth requires skill, knowledge, and experience?
Yes.
Okay. So if you have that, then you can see yourself growing. All right. Now, the next thing I want to help build you is that if there are opportunities for you to gain skill, knowledge, and experience, would you like to be involved?
Yes.
What would you answer? Yes. Yeah. Okay. So it's a natural yes. It's so easy for them to say yes. All right. So now here's the thing. Okay. If there's work that comes my way for which I can do faster and less mistake. Now, if I'm talking about the role I'm playing and you want to be in my role, I can do faster and less mistake. But for which you can benefit your skill, knowledge, and experience because you haven't done it before, whom do you prefer to do it, you or I?
Okay.
If you have a choice.
I could try, but I was thinking that you also a good answer.
Yeah, of course. If I do it, it's faster for me, less mistakes. Okay, yeah. I can do it with close on my eyes. Okay, but here's where you now have a choice. If you have a choice, what would you like to do?
Yep.
Okay, so now I get some people who may want to say, okay, I think you should continue doing it. I say that's fine. Okay, but what's the benefit to you if I continue to do it?
Just see how you do it only.
Yeah, you can watch how I do it, but a lot of time, unless you do it, you will probably not pick up much skill.
Exactly.
All right. So that is where your experience comes in. So now I could ask you and say, would you like to improve your skill and knowledge and experience by doing some of this?
Yep.
All right. So they can decide and they tell me. Now these questions is a question for them to make decision on, and whatever answer they give is always a good answer. All right. I don't judge people. I just want to know where they stand. All right. But having said that, if they want to do, now they are new and they are not sure whether they are going to do it well, then my next question is, can we agree to meet regularly to discuss how the work you're doing is helping you increase your skill, knowledge, and experience?
Sure.
All right. So it doesn't mean that when you are doing something that you are all by yourself. Okay. I'll make sure that we agree how I'm going to help you. So that's how I secure commitment. And you'll notice that every one of these, they are just questions. Yep. But the whole question, the whole line of asking this question is to secure some sort of either commitment or direction, or which there is some kind of a productive outcome. All right. So later, I know I open up for you guys to ask questions. Now, the idea behind this is this, okay? And this is from Zig Ziglar. Keep this in mind. This is all about me, my mind, and my, my positive self. Is that you can have everything in life you want if you will just help enough people to get what they want. So my journey has always tried to find a way of how different people can benefit from my experience, from my knowledge, from my skills, and all that. All right. And I'm just encouraging you to always be doing that.
Thank you.
Right? Now, so I'm going to finish you with one more slide. And that's a design strategy that on 17 that I say get a testimonial. So I want you to read this slide here. Okay. I want you to imagine if you are the one receiving this from your manager, how would you feel?
Yeah, I think managers should do more of that.
Yeah, but imagine you are the one receiving from the manager. How would you feel?
Very good.
Okay. Now, would you say that this will be something that people would like to see from the manager?
Yes.
Okay. Now, guess what? The aim of your working, if you can, okay, I want you to think about going to a restaurant. So when you go and eat in a restaurant, what would the restaurant owners like to get out of you if they can?
Tips, compliments.
Compliments, tip. Now, they are all part of testimonial, their feedback, correct? Not. That's the reason why sometimes they always ask for, can you give me some feedback? Can you give feedback? If you look at some more advanced kind of business, like example, you take a Grab. After each ride, they ask you to rate the driver. Okay, if you order online, whether it's Lazada or Shopee, they ask you to rate each delivery they send to you. Each time you buy, they ask you to rate the merchant, the product, the service, and everything. They ask you to rate. Why? Because they want your testimony so that they can improve. Okay. But more importantly, if you're a restaurant, not only do you improve, if you can get a testimonial, what does a testimonial do for you? Okay. Now, if you're smart, the testimonial is your advertisement. Okay. It's a referral. It's about third-party endorsement and satisfaction about who and what you are. All right. Now I'm sharing with you this because I'm trying to get my children to practice. This is the feedback my daughter got 2 weeks ago from her manager. Okay. So, and I wish all of you to be able to get this kind of feedback in the work that you do at your workplace. All right. So with that, thank you very much.
Okay, the first question from Hui Chun. He asked that what is the difference between life balance and work-life balance?
Yeah, in the book, that's also covered. A lot of people talk about work-life balance, but the moment you talk about work-life balance, it's more confined. You're thinking about balancing between work and life. Okay, and actually, if you look at your life, is a bit more holistic. Holistic in the sense that your life is in a way affected by a different component. Now, just now you heard me sharing about what's the central thing I'm trying to do in my life, okay? And I just have one goal, and just to be happy, example. All right. So for me, it's about being happy. But how do I achieve my happiness? Okay, my happiness is what is central to my happiness is my family, my health, helping people, and having the peace of mind, and also serving the community. But you notice that there's nothing in the career inside there. Why? Because career to me is just a workplace. Okay, it's just a workplace. But if I identify the career in the workplace, then I see, what do I see? I see relationships. Now, if I see relationship, then I see who are the people I can help. Okay, so I'm looking at life balance. Okay, so what's the balance in my life so that I don't do things at the expense of do this but at the expense of that. but it's the life balance rather than work-life balance. Now, work-life balance, the way people condition it, most of the time they're talking about time. How much time I'm spending at work, how much time I'm spending at home. All right, that's very that's a little bit more narrow in the way you look. But if you look at life balance, it's about what makes you whole. I hope that answered the question.
Okay, question from Ken Singh. What would be suitable answer if the interviewer asks, it seems like you like your current job. May I know why you applied for this opening?
It's a good question for them to ask, but when the questions comes your way, the simple answer I always good is, I'm always looking for opportunities to grow myself. You know, within the organization, I may have a growth plan, but if there are places of which I can achieve faster growth, I'm always willing to understand and learn more. Okay, and obviously to apply myself. So there is this saying, you know, what we call the enemy of a great life is a good life. So if you feel that your company is a good life, and if you just hold on to that, it may prevent you from having a great life. And you never know what is a great life until you find out a bit more. So good doesn't mean it's still the best, but you can always look around and just, you know, understand what's outside. Doesn't mean you have to change or go, but your posture is such that when they ask this question and you say that, I don't know what's more out there, that may not be more. And if the company, if the company is the best that I'm currently working here right now, from this interview, I may know that as a fact. This interview is either going to confirm what I know, that I'm working in the best company already, or not.
Thanks, Meng Chai, for the answer. And if you want to ask, unmute yourself, you raise your hand. Yeah, raise your hand. Okay. Question for Mei Yin: how to stay positive even if you fail in life or not achieving goal in life?
Positive is a deliberate effort. I'm going to share with you a particular story. I was giving a talk in one of the association, a professional association, and when I give this talk in this professional association, they are all a group of professionals, and they want to improve themselves either from a business perspective or from their career perspective. Now, during the break, one of them came to me, and he's a career professional. He's working in this professional firm for a while. So he's asking me, he says that, look, I'm working in this company for a while, and I'm not sure whether should I go or should I stay, but but I'm not happy. He said, and I said, okay. If you have better opportunity, obviously, you will go for it. But meanwhile, while waiting for better opportunities to come, what is it that you can learn in your company that you can use elsewhere in your life? Okay, so I want him to think about the positive. Then he think. I can't think of anything because it's the thing that's so bad. I can't think of anything that could be of help. Then I say, okay. So let me, then I think about helping him. Then I say, okay, doing what you're doing right now, going forward in your career, are you going to rise in seniority? Doesn't matter with this company or any other company. Do you see yourself rising in seniority? That means become more senior and become bosses as well. Then obviously he says he's probably in the 30s. Then he probably said, yes, I think I'm going to rise. Yeah, I'm going to have an opportunity to become senior. I say, okay. So if you're going to rise, or for that matter, even if you, do you see yourself wanting to set up your own business at some point in the future? Then he also say, yeah, there's a possibility of that as well. I say, okay. So whether in this company or in any other company, your future is such that you're either going to rise in this company or another company to become more senior, or you're going to start your own business where you're going to be your own boss as well. But whatever is it, you're going to be boss in the future. Am I right? Then he say, yes. I say, okay. How do you know you're going to be a good boss? So I ask him, then he doesn't quite have the answer, don't quite know how to have a good boss or to be a good boss. I say, okay, now you can be a good boss by doing a certain by adopting a certain behavior. Okay, so would you have a list of the things on how to be a good boss? Then you say yes. Then you can give out a list of things that you can be a good boss. I say fantastic, so that you know in future that you need to do this. But do you know the things that you need to do to avoid being a bad boss? Then she think, yeah, I'm not quite sure. I said, very simple. You just told me you don't like your boss. Then I say, okay, can you learn from your current boss? Then he say, not sure what to learn. Well, what are the things you don't like about your boss? Then I say, do you have a list? Then I say, yes, I got a list. I say, can you list at least 10 things you don't like about your boss? Yes, I can list 10 things I don't like about your boss. I say, okay, why don't you list them down? Because those are the things you learn how not to be a bad boss. Because you're going to be a boss in future. So now you have a list of how not to be a bad boss, because you are learning from your boss how not to be a bad boss. So would that be something you can learn? Then you say yes. Okay, so what you are basically saying is that even where you are right now, you are still learning. Right? Okay, so learning lead to growth. Now, the reason I'm sharing this thinking is this. It's about taking a very negative environment and look at the positive side. When you have good, whatever decisions that you make, all right, decision or action that you make, there's only two outcomes to it. You either get result or you get experience. Now, what do you mean by a result and experience? Result is something that you want. Experience is something that you get. Okay. Now, if you do something wrong, you get something that you don't like. That's experience. So, question is this: every action and every decision you make is going to have these two outcomes. The question I ask people is, which one you don't want? Do you don't want the results, or do you don't want experience? All right. Now, most people, they want both. So in that case, I say every decision and action that you do, you always have the upside, because you either get experience or you get results. So I'm not sure whether that fully answered your questions. If you think that a lot of things are looking bleak and not certain, but in the chapter just now I talk about is always trust but be prepared. Think about what are the things you can do to prepare yourself, okay, in order to move away from where you are right now. Okay, so look for the specific steps. Now, if you are still need all the help, my email is there, so feel free to reach out to me.
Thank you, Meng Chai. And Chun Heng, you raised your hand. You wanted to ask questions.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, Meng Chai, from what you have shared, right, we could see that you help a lot of people. For sure, you got lots of good or maybe a positive experiences. Of course, it does come with a negative one, right? So yeah, I could see that you mentioned that we have to don't let the negative thing come into our mind, right, in the early of the presentation. So yeah, I think this is kind of like not so easy to achieve, and I saw that you actually like already in the next level, which you are like you already achieved something like yeah, you don't let the negative things came in, right? So are you having some technique, or I don't know how you did it, or you naturally are like this kind of person, your personality is already this kind of person, or you were trained from the bad experience? I don't know, maybe you could share something. Yeah.
Thank you for that question. One of the mystery about people, okay, what gives people the positivity, there's this word called hope. Okay, the word hope gives how do I say, the word hope, the word that you can equate with hope is a chance. When you have hope, you have a chance. When you don't know hope, that means you got no chance. All right, so now how do you stay hopeful, and how do you put yourself in a hopeful position so that there is always a chance, because the chance gives hope, and the hope is the one that can motivate you. imagine if, okay, I'm just going to a bit of a dark, a bit of a dark theme. A dark theme is where I think about why people commit suicide. All right, most people commit suicide because they see no hope. There's no hope in any way that can give them some positive thing in their life. All right, but if there's a chance, that means there's hope. So what I want to use this particular word to help everybody, and that is, how do you give yourself hope? You give yourself hope by creating chances. Now, chances can be created. All right, every time you find yourself not in a good place, that is the time that you think about what do you do? Okay, a good movie I would recommend for you to watch, really watch, is the show called Martian. Okay, now watch the show Martian. Okay, it's talking about this astronaut is the first human being that's in go to the Mars. Okay, and through some accident he was stranded in Mars. Okay, away from everybody. Okay, and he has to find a way to survive until there's a rescue mission to come. And how he remained hopeful, how he remained positive in spite of all that. Okay, so now there are a lot of things I do for myself, okay, to create hopeful, to be hopeful, because I create chances. Okay, my career transitions are all about chances. Okay, that means let's see whether I can give you another analogy to help you think about this. I'm not sure how many people in this room knows how to play snooker. So I'm going to have conversation with Billy right now. Billy, do you play snooker?
No.
But you know how snooker works or not?
Yeah, I play, but not an expert lah. Not expert.
It's okay. Okay, but you know how
Yes.
how snooker works, right?
Yes.
So if I ask you, how do you win in snooker? Would you know?
Make sure get the most point lah.
But how do you get the most points?
By putting the ball into the hole, the pocket.
Okay, so basically you are what you call shooting the ball and putting it in the pocket, isn't it? Okay,
Yes.
so now if some of you in the audience here don't understand what is snooker, what you do is that go to YouTube and Google the word snooker and find out how it's played. But I'm going to do a bit of explanation here. A professional snooker, the way they play is always this. Their job is to enter a ball. All right, but when they enter the ball, they have to set up for the next shot to enter the next ball. All right, and in snooker, you are supposed to enter the ball based on the different in colors. So you cannot just enter any ball you see. You got to enter the ball according to a certain sequence of colors. So in that sense, as a professional snooker player, you enter the ball, but your job is to set the ball up so that you can place it in the ball that you want to enter. And what that basically essentially means is that every shot you take, you got to think about 2 steps ahead. You got to think about entering the ball and positioning the ball. Now, how you make your decision in life is about making decision in such a way that you not only solve your present problem, but you will try to solve your future problem. That means set it up. Do something right now, but set it up. Do something right now, but set it up. Set it up for the next one. So it requires you to plan. And when you do like that way, what you have is you create chances for yourself. Because you create chances for yourself, you are always hopeful because there's always hope. Okay, so make decision or action that take into a 2-step or 3-step approach. Solve the present problem, but set it up for the next step. Okay, and this requires some practice, but you can get good at this. I hope that answered the question.
Yeah, thank you, Meng Chai.
Thank you. All right. So I pick up the 2 more questions from the chat. If anyone has it, please raise your hand. Yeah. Okay. Question from Li Fen. How to help teenagers to improve when that particular individual have no intention to change the situation?
Again, understand human nature will be a good advantage. Okay. Now, somebody, a child psychologist, okay, make this study. How they make the study is this. If you look at the growth of a child and their behavior, you notice a pattern now. All of you got children and you got young children. When a young child say they cry or they throw tantrums and all that, what do parents do to calm them down? So I use Billy as an example. So if your children throw tantrums and all that, not that they do, but if you think about the theory behind it, what do parents normally do?
Complain, I think.
Complain, but how do they? What do they do with the child?
I think generally
calm down?
That's your question. If you say how do parents do and how I do is a bit different. So how
yes.
parents do is that I
how
think
do you observe?
They wake up the children.
Well, some will wake the children, of course. Okay. Now, some of them, they incentivize the children. Okay. And they either give them a sweet, or they let them watch TV, or they play the computer game, or they bring them to McDonald's. There are some of the ways they use the easier way. Okay. But basically, they can pacify their children. All right. Of course, those that don't have any kind of strong parenting skill, they use corporal punishment. Okay, they whack, or they do corporal punishment. Now, question is this: why does it work? You give them a sweet, make them McDonald's, but why does it work? All right. The way they work is because they are emotionally happy. They're happy, they will do a lot of things. A teenager is the transition between a child to an adult. Now, what it means basically is that as a person grow and grow, if you try to rationalize with a 3-year-old and expect them to understand a lot of things, they don't. But yet you can get them to do certain things by appealing to their emotional need. So the more emotionally they have, you handle their emotional need, you will see them responding. But if you get to try to talk to them intellectually, they may not be able to have that intellectual capacity to try to appreciate what you're saying. So therefore, you deal with their emotional need. So when they are transitioning between childhood to adulthood and in the teenage, they still have a lot of emotional need. Their intellectual needs are just about growing, but not strong enough. That's why you find teenagers can be quite rebellious. Now, in the case of emotional need, is find a way to appeal to their emotional need. If you can satisfy their emotional need, most of the time they will respond to you. Okay, so find a way. Now you can connect their emotional need to their rational or intellectual need, but make that connection. Don't just do an intellectual or rational need without and abandoning the emotional need. As a human being, we all have emotional need, just different people, different age group.
Thanks for the answer. I need that as well. Okay, all right. Question from Yan Ping. She's not here, leaving for a meeting, but she will listen to the talk later. In your design strategy number 7, you shared about be selective, and principle number 2, you are your biggest investment. The question is, Meng Chai, how do you prioritize quote unquote methodology, the fixed amount of time you have to invest in yourself while being able to deliver to the most critical area that define your success and happiness?
Very good question. Investment is not transactional, it's a journey. All right. It's investment is the mindset. You never ever stop investing. All right. And view everything not from transactional perspective, but view it from the investment perspective. You invest in relationship, invest yourself, invest in skill set, just keep on investing. Everything you do is all about investment. All right. And once you invest, and the understanding is this: not every investment pay off, but yet you still invest. Just always understand you never stop investing. And there are some risks to investment, yeah, but in this case, you could be wasting a bit of a time here or wasting with the wrong people, but never stop investing. So as long as you're investing, your mindset investing, you don't have to quantify, okay? But I do have some way of quantifying for people. This is the advice I give to my own children, how the investment works. And I applied this to myself in my earlier years as well. I don't depend on the company. If the company invests in me in some way, I'm happy to receive it. But I always take responsibility for my own investment. Now there are three investments I give to my children. It's depend on the guy or the girl. I got son, I got daughters. So number one is invest in your mind. All right. Now invest in your mind. I say take 10% of your income from a year's income, invest in yourself. Okay, that means you either read books, you attend seminars, you join any other social activities, you invest in yourself, you invest others. 10% you invest in yourself, okay, by reading books, joining seminars, and going through different things. But it's all about growing your mind. Second investment is invest in people. Okay, so I say allocate another 10% of your income to invest in people. That means you network with people, you meet up with people, you have games, you have drinks and all that, but you socialize, you invest in people. Okay, and the third one is invest in your physical self. So especially the ladies, invest in grooming yourself. And I always share, especially if you are younger, I say that this is the time of your life, okay, that you want to kind of look the best, because if you are still single, you want to look beautiful and all that, because that's the time you can look pretty, you can wear any dress you want, everything looks nice. But later part in life, once you get married and all that, it's not that you cannot invest. You probably has very little motivation to want to invest, because at that time you have children, your family and all that, your priorities will have changed, so you will invest there. So when you are younger, when you still have the opportunity to dress well, looks good, and meet people and all that, and you invest in some grooming of yourself. So these are the investment I will advise people to say invest in yourself. So the other question you asked about being selective. Now selective is when you are looking at your career, don't just look at a career from a job perspective. There are a lot of things you can be selective about. You can be selective about the industry that you are joining in. You can be selective about organization you join. You can selective about even the bosses that you want. Sometimes you may find that you're not in the right boss, so make decisions around there. So that just means being selective. Make choices for yourself.
Thank you. Question from Yin Chao. She asked that would like to know how to determine the alignment that I have created in order to achieve the bigger picture is right.
Okay. Alignment is always whatever that makes sense to you. So if you look at the sharing I had earlier on alignment, I want to be happy. Okay, so that's the basic concept. So how do I be happy? The thing that the source of my happiness comes from where? So I share with you the source of my happiness, my family, my health, my helping people, and being happy, having fun, and being a peace of mind. So what I want to do therefore is the source of my happiness has to be the right one. So therefore, whatever I do, I make sure that is right, because if that's right, then then I will feel happy. Then how do I get that? Then I'm thinking about how do I make my family happy. Example, to get my family happy, I need to invest more time with them. Okay, now I need to have more money, I need to have more time. So how do I get more time? How do I get more money? So you can see that the source of where I am and what I need to do to achieve what I want to be, then I keep on pursuing. So then in that sense that I don't really waste time. Okay, so what can give me happiness is where I will pursue. So that's what I mean by alignment. Okay, the job that you do, the people that you associate with, all these are alignment.
Right. Thanks, Meng Chai. Question from Nicholas Chong. I asked that how do you manage your time? There are many systems out there, but what works for you to find balance in your career, personal, family, especially in the current fast-paced, disruptive environments?
I use a very simple system for myself, and for people who kind of not very sure what to do. I use this test. Okay, I use a 5-question test, and I'm going to very quickly share with you the 5 questions of how I design it. Every night when you go to sleep, you find yourself to ask these 5 questions. Okay, so you're going to get a certain compass in your life. So first question is this: if you go to sleep at night, okay, every night, if you go to sleep at night, you ask this question. Say, if I go to sleep tonight and I don't get to wake up in the morning, would I have any regrets? Okay, ask yourself that question. Okay, only you have the answer. Okay, if I don't wake up in the morning, do I have any regrets? And guess what? If the next day you can wake up in the morning, then fix the regrets, whatever you regret you think you're going to have. Okay, so those are the important things that you have. The next thing, the next question I ask that if I go to bed tonight, okay, what will keep me from having a good sleep? All right, so you may do something in the day that prevent you having a good sleep. Okay, you may have an argument with some people that you care for. You can make a bad investment. You can do something that prevent you having a good sleep. And guess what? If you think that is the one that prevent you having a good sleep, when you wake up in the morning, what you do? Fix it. Okay, so you know where to prioritize. Third one is like, am I having fun today? Okay, so day is not supposed to just work. Well, are you having fun? So if you have a series of days that you ask this question and you don't see yourself having fun, that means, well, you're not really enjoying yourself. So try to think about what are the funs that you can get out of your day. So try to have something that is fun. Okay, the fourth one is have I add value to anybody? Okay, so every day I try to add value to someone. Okay, so if I add value to someone, I feel at peace. Okay, so it's okay. One day you don't add value, that is fine. Okay, but if a series of days that you ask this question, you find you're not adding value, guess what? You feel at peace and feel very good when you're helping people. Okay, that's adding value in many ways, not just money. Now the last question is about gratitude. Okay, what am I thankful for? Okay, so a lot of time people are always looking at what they don't have, but they forget about what they have. Okay, so when you are struggling with thinking about what you want, but you think about what are you currently having? All right, so list out the things that you have. Those are the things that you feel you should be happy about, because a lot of people don't have what you have. So if you do enough of this on an everyday basis, you will find your center.
Thanks, Meng Chai. We have Kamli. You want to ask it questions?
Yeah, thanks. Good afternoon, Meng Chai. So I'm currently actually feeling a little bit lost in my career. I don't know what path should I take. So would like to ask, what is your suggestion about what can I do?
Now, career is a huge question, all right? And obviously, it will not do justice for me to just give a simple answer. But I do have a suggestion for you, is this, okay? I was blessed when in my early years, okay? And I think I'm still quite blessed that I always have people that could be of like a mentor to me, okay? So I could journey then, and that's the reason why I could help other people as well. Find yourself someone that you can talk to, okay, and use them as a sounding board. All right, because the question is big. It's not an easy question to just say, you do this or do that, okay? You have certain unique needs important to you. Your circumstances are also unique, all right? I'm very personal to you. So a quick and simple advice is find someone you trust, someone that you have respect for, okay? And then see whether you can attract this person to be a mentor to you on a personal basis. Then you can see certain changes that may come along the way. All right. But if you want to know more, feel free to reach out to me.
All right, thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks, Meng Chai. Question from Yen, asking that how to combat loneliness for new hires who work remotely since the first day at the office. Should find a job that could work in office. Question mark. I think this is that should she find a job in office?
This is a new phenomena, unfortunately. My own daughter is also having that. The day that she joined is where the pandemic just started. Okay, so she has never really go to the office. I think in the 2 years she probably have been to the office literally can count with your fingers. So yes, I can see that. I can see that my daughter is almost home every day, and she's also working with an American MNC. So I can see that it's not easy. Now that phenomena may change in the near future, but meanwhile, if you do have this sense of loneliness, are you able to connect with some of the people that even you work on the remote basis? that you could do some activity that's outside office. Okay. So don't just have anything that's just within office, but have some activity outside office. It can still be online. You can, through WhatsApp group or through whatever group, do some sharing that is outside, some skill set, some passions that you have, look for common interests. If physically you are still staying in the same city and all that, and if the situation permits, you can do a bit of a catch up for a drink, things like this. So, but don't stop where you are right now and just accept it, but proactively do something about it.
Thanks, Meng Chai. And Ian, this is the reason why we also have the 10 Book Club. We wanted to do something really outside of what you do every day, like work and work and work. This is the place. If you can't find a topic that interests you, this is the place where you can come in and look at the people who like-minded and get connected to them. Even if you feel you want to talk to Billy, reach out to me, and then we also can chat. And then there's a lot of interesting people here who join the book club, right? Please do that.
I want to add on another point, and this is something that I share with my kids. Connecting and networking with people, your school friends, your working colleagues, and anybody, but don't keep yourself out. Okay, just connect with people. Now, what I mean by connecting with people is this: all of us have been to school before, which means that during your young age, you have friends. All right, when you go to university, you also have friends and all that. The question is that how connected are you with all these people? And if you are not connected, time to get connected again. And when you connect, and here is what I told my kids, okay? If you have been to the old traditional circus, where in a traditional circus, there's this particular trick that they play in the circus, and they put a lot of sticks, okay? And when they put a lot of sticks, and what they do is that they have a plate on top of the stick, and then they spin the plate. Okay, and you can see the stick will move, and then if you don't know what I'm talking about, you can Google it. It's called spinning plates. Okay, so you spin the plate. So they have many sticks, and they have many plates. They spin the plates, and then if the stick is moving, the plate will keep on spinning. If the stick stop moving, the plate will drop. Okay, so what the circus performers do is that they keep on moving the stick. As they move the stick, the plate will keep on spinning. And I mentioned this to my kids. I say that staying in touch with your friend is like spinning plates. If you stay away long enough from them, sometimes you drop off from each other, then you get disconnected. And what you do is that all the friends in your life, okay, don't stop the connections, okay, spin plates. So now my children, when they go up to meet people and ask them, I say, where are you going? I say, they told me they're spinning plates.
Right. Thanks, Meng Chai. And I probably have like five each question left. Okay, from Ritika. How do you deal with leaders or managers who may see you as a threat to their position and are not willing to find a successor? And instead of having a response like you gave just now, let me guide you how to help you to be a CFO. Maybe they do not feel they are in the time of giving the stage to you yet.
Yeah, thank you for that question. I do come across common challenges like this, where for some reason the bosses may not be your ideal boss. Okay, so in my book, there's a chapter that I talk about what we call your boss. They are humans. They are not God. Okay, they are just people. So they may not be the best person sometimes to be a leader because they themselves have a lot of need. How they become the boss? Because they have done something well, obviously, that the company recognized, but they may not have everything to make them the best boss yet. Okay, they themselves are still in the process of growing as well. And if you do have come across some bosses like this, have a little understanding about where their challenges are. However, having said that, you can still apply to some of the concepts I talk about. Now, here's about staying positive. Now, until and unless you found something better, all right, now it doesn't mean you stop. Okay, now remember, I always say trust, but be prepared. So you can think about that. But until and unless you find something better, there are still things that you can do. Example, even you work with a difficult boss and all that, while you are still there, okay, think about them as a client, as a difficult client, not as a boss, but as a difficult client. Okay, but as a clients do have needs. What are their needs? How can you still have serve them? Not because you need to pander to them or serve a difficult boss, but it's all about the way you think. Okay, the way you position yourself. You have a difficult client. No? If you ask any business owner, their clients, are they all perfect clients? No, they also have difficult clients. But if they are looking at as a business perspective, they will still work with the difficult clients. The only question is that how do you condition yourself to work with the difficult clients during this particular time, the process of which will train you. Okay, so use a difficult time working with difficult client to train yourself in terms of either your resilience, your creativity, your approach. Think about all these things because you need all that as a skill. All right, so use a negative to force yourself to learn some part of what you don't have. Okay, like example, you can always say if there's this person that, you know, if this person is my shoe, what would this person do? Okay, and then sometimes you may give you some ideas that some people may do it differently.
Thanks.
All right.
Thanks, Meng Chai. The question from Hui Yue. I like the ideal of happiness or happy. Is the objective, and money or time are the tools to achieve that. However, a lot of the journey to happiness is quite tough and difficult. Sometimes quite painful. For example, the journey of raising up a children, sleepless night, journey of learning, taking stress exams and getting certified, and many more. Seems like the journey to happiness needs a lot of determinations. Looking forward to your comments.
Yeah. I have 4 children. You know, I enjoy the journey of with my family. Now, it doesn't mean that it's perfect. We have our own challenging time. It's all, although it's behind us. This year is my 32nd anniversary. Okay, year of marriage. My children, my elder one will be turning 31. My youngest, I have a pair of twins. They are 24 years old, turning 25 years old. So, and then I have a second daughter who's 29 this year. Now, what I basically look at is this. Yes, the journey to be happy, there are a lot of things that need to happen. Go back to some very basic thing. All right, is don't make this a personal journey if you can. If you can avoid, don't make a personal journey. I can see, yes, if you always try to think yourself as being the only person that has to do with all these things, it is very tough. Okay, it will not be easy. Find somebody you can trust or respect, who have journeyed on, and look for some way of how they have overcome. All right. If you use only purely from your own intuition and creativity, and the moment you have down days and all that, you run out of ideas, that it become very frustrating. It can be depressive as well. But find someone, okay, and attract. This is what I mean by attract. Invest and attract people in your life. So mentors can come from many areas. Okay, you got life mentors, you got work career mentors and all that, coaches. So keep on finding people that that you can include in your life, that you can draw their experience from. All right, there will never be a perfect answer that suits everything, but when you hear some of this, you will have some moments where you say, now that makes sense. Okay, maybe I should try this. But you need to hear enough of it. Okay, so I wish that you know, people keep on trying to attract good mentors in their life to shortcut your journey of learning.
Thanks, Meng Chai. Question from Kaylee. How do you balance time for the tasks that you need to do, and the tasks that you want to do, and the things that make you happy?
Yeah. Okay. Again, is a great question. So to think along something like this is, again, go back to my snooker game. So everything I do is not just about one thing, but it's always thinking about what's next, what's the follow-up, so that you do one action, it has other follow-up consequences that is also aligned. All right. Now, example, I give you an example. When I was 30 years ago, I was based overseas. I had a, I went to this job where I went to join this company in a foreign country that I know next to nothing about. It was 30 years ago in Indonesia. Then I was based in this as an expatriate there. I had my kids already. That time I had 2 kids. I went there, don't know anything about the company, but I thought I would explore and give myself an opportunity to see whether it works, because the money was better than over here. Now, 2 young kids, 1 year old and one a few months old. When I left them, my wife was working here. I was alone over in Indonesia. But quite fortunately, the challenges that they have, there were a lot of major challenges inside there, and I could help them and resolve a lot of their challenges and all that. Now, within a year of being there, my pay doubled. All right. And after I solved most of their major challenges, my pay doubled. Everything was working well, and I was thinking, hey, my family is back home. I want to go home. Okay. And the company's work is almost done. But my boss wanted me to stay. Okay. He said, hey, if you stay back, there's a good career prospect for you. And then I say, hey, if my family is not here with me, then I would probably not stay. Then he said, okay, never mind. When your wife is in town, let me know. So my wife came to town in that time. Then my boss took us out for a meal, and then asked my wife, what do you think about coming over to stay? Then my wife also have her own career. She said, no worries, the group is very big. We could offer you a job and work in the same company as well and all that. But that didn't convince my wife. So my wife said, still prefer to stay back in Malaysia. So with my kids there. So guess what? Then I say, well, if my family is not here, then I prefer not to be here. Then they say, hey, well, if you think working here is going to be a far, why don't we send you to China, and then we have plant operation there. You can be based there, and then your family can be based in Hong Kong, and then weekends you can your family you can meet up with your family and all that. That didn't fly as well. Okay, so anyway, long story short, I decided to leave the company after the end of my second year. Now, my second year, I was literally doing nothing already. All right. So after that, I decided to come back. Now, when I decided to come back, my pay immediately dropped a lot. Okay. But I still make the decision anyway. Okay, to come back. Now, the reason I'm sharing this story with you is I was thinking long term. The short term, I could get results, but the long term, I knew that it would not be helpful for me. Okay, so now go back to how do I stay happy? I tend to use long term to guide my happiness. Now, short term can make me happy, but at the detriment of long term, I will make sure that it's more of a long term thing. Even in the short term, I don't get my full happiness. I'm okay as long as I'm working to a longer term goal. And my longer term goal was my family come first. All right. So in that sense, it's not just what you do, but it's the decision that you make. All right. As long as you make the decision that has a further kind of into the future, it will probably be better.
This question from Penny. She asked that, they say, hi Meng Chai, you started the session with your life goals like, would you say that knowing oneself purpose, strength and core value would be the prerequisite in driving our career?
Fantastic question. It will be an absolute yes if you do know it. All right. But even I took a while for me to get to that point. Sometimes there's a lot of experimentation. Okay. And I noticed that a lot of people do experiment as well. And I think it's okay. You need to give yourself the permission to say, if you don't know and don't have a good understanding and all that, don't give yourself permission time to find out. Don't give yourself unnecessary stress. Okay. Now, how do you find out? And this is where I'm talking about investing yourself. Okay. This is where, if you want to go for seminar to find out more, to go read the books and go watch more YouTube. The idea is to keep on putting stuff in yourself that help you make discovery. and doing things as well, getting to know people and all that, and understanding where the challenges of people, what kind of common challenges that they see. And when you see and experience all these things, you look at slowly they're synthesizing. So all these things are synthesizing in your mind, and you will get to a point where there's a clarity. But put yourself out there.
Thanks, Meng Chai. Question from Azhar. He asked that how do we avoid the perception that the receiver feeling cornered to take up the responsibility? I think.
Yeah. Okay. You notice or not? Yes, my questions does have a bit of that. But my idea, even if I engage with people, is this: I say it's okay if the answer is not. All right. I'm not going to judge people if they say I don't want to be a CFO. All right. It just means like when I was talking to myself just now, when you heard me, I say if you want to run a restaurant, doesn't mean I say, oh, you no longer want to do this and then you're going to be no. When I engage people at the personal level. Even though I represent the company, but I always engage them at the personal level, and what are their personal needs. Okay, and if I can help them on a personal need, and that's fine. Okay, but if you feel that that you're cornered, speak your mind. Okay, you can always say, I find this question I'm uncomfortable to answer. And then if the question asks, what makes you uncomfortable? Just give yourself uncomfortable. You can say, I'm not ready to answer. I don't have a clear answer to this. And make that into a conversation. Okay, don't feel pressured that you must have an answer. If you don't know, say don't know. If you are not sure, say not sure.
Thanks, Meng Chai. And if you want a question, you can always raise hand. Okay. Wenshin asks, she's inspired by the list of questions. Me too. How do you come up with them? Is it an experience, a template, or from a book?
It's a combination of all, actually. Yes, experience refines the questions, but more importantly, it's about when you invest in yourself, you will always be learning stuff. Okay, I'm not born to say I'm a person that asks very good questions, but along the way, I learn from other people. I notice, hey, how do they do it? Or some people can teach me, or I hear people, and when I watch a YouTube video, I read a book. All this tells me different things about these are what we call techniques. All right, there are a lot of techniques out there that you can learn from. All right, and the idea is just don't close yourself to this technique. So and I believe if you search hard enough, like example, if you just go to Google or go to YouTube and say ask good questions or something like that, okay, I tell you, you will get truckloads of it.
Right. Okay, this is not a question. This is a very good thing that I can say Richard again. Enemy of a great life is a good life. I just wanted to say it again. Thanks again, Meng Chai, for that one. And I saw one more question. Hang on. Okay, people also talk about Martian. So Martian is beside also movie. There's a book on Martian. You can check out the books, right? Question from Lai Ying. She asked that appreciate your time and sharing, Meng Chai. A great way to start the new year. Yes, me too. I would like to learn more about how to ask the right question. What is your thought process as we design the question to be asked?
The method I used in the past is I learned along the way. But if you really want to get good at asking questions and learning how questions are, I will highly recommend if you could all take up some form of a course to be a coach. Okay, a good coach asks fantastic questions. All right, and the questions are all designed to help people. So you just have to decide and say that if you want to be a coach, you can actually go and learn to be a coach. And if your organization is big and they want to conduct courses and all that, make a request to your HR and say that, hey, look, do you have any courses on coaching? Okay, if you go into the coaching course, you can see it's all about learning how to ask great questions.
Thank you. At Intel, we do have, I think it's called a career connection, where you can volunteer yourself as a community of coaches. And I think there's like 3,000 plus coaches all around Intel. Feel free to, if you know, you can talk to me. There's I think Penny is in there. Penny, probably you can drop the link to those people, right? So yeah, and we have someone raise the hand. Yeah, my
Volunteer
friend.
to be coaches if you can.
Yes.
Seriously, yeah.
Madhu, you have questions? Yeah, this is your last one. This is your last one from Madhu. Yeah.
It was fantastic sharing. I am a I love chess and I play few sports including chess. In a sport, we always said that it is very natural if we lose a game, we come back and analyze. But our coach always says that losing a game and coming back and analyze, everybody does. It's a natural tendency. Whoever likes to improve. But if you want to improve more, you have to analyze your game which you have already won. That nobody does it because because a player who has lost against you would not lose in the same way. If you just take this analogy, in an appraisal, I would have a list of positive feedback and a list of negative feedbacks. It's a very natural tendency that I go home and start preparing plan to work on my negative feedbacks. And there is also another side of it. I'll be thinking this positive feedback, what I have received this year, if it remains at the same level, may not be any positive. Manager cannot consider it as a positive feedback. It becomes just a ordinary performance. How to develop that thinking? We always lean towards improving our negative aspects. How to improve our own positive aspects? What is your thought on it? How to build on and become extraordinary in what is already positive in us?
Yeah. Thank you. And I love the way you put it. Okay, not only looking at the negative, okay, where you can learn, but look at the positive where you can learn as well. I will use a certain statement to help that thinking. Now, when you look at the negative and the positive, negative is where you learn, because whenever you lose or you don't get what you want, yes, you can get experience and you build on the experience. That actually costs you as well, because when you lose, there's a cost associated. It could be your emotional cost, it could be your financial cost, but it could be a time cost, but you do lose something there. And the idea, what you learn is to avoid is to mitigate your future losses, okay, so that you don't lose as much. So when you learn, you are actually mitigation. You are looking at mitigating. But when you are learning from strength, okay, when you achieve the result and all that, now what you can do with the things you learn from there is not just you can repeat, like you say. If you repeat, then you don't, after a while, then you still the same. It's all about leveraging. If you have strength, if you are successful, what you do is you leverage on it. Keep leveraging on it, okay? When you leverage, you're looking opportunity. Okay, I'm good at this. What else can I do with this? What can I do with that? What can I do with this? So you can become creative with the results that you have, and from there you are looking at possibilities. So leveraging is about creating possibilities. If you're looking at something that you don't get result, it's all mitigating. All right. So this is mitigating. This is leveraging. So I use that two term to look at the positive and negative.
Thank you.
Thank you for the nice concept. Yes.
Yeah, Sri, one person raising the hand. Let's see. Yeah. Nava, you want to see?
Yeah, hi, Meng Chai. Actually, it's a great session. My question is similar to what Madhu has asked. But you have mentioned about seeking the validation, right? Like constantly seek the validation from your peers or whoever you can get a chance. But most of the times you take it personally. Like if one like people with whom you are really close with, right? If you get back some slightly negative validation and all, you constantly seek from them how to get it better or how to turn into positive. Actually, how to not to take it so seriously to mind and heart. So that was my question actually.
Okay.
So if I understand your questions, it's about when feedback is given to you, how to avoid taking it negatively. Is that what your question is about?
Yeah, correct.
Okay. Not easy. Okay, not easy, especially if now what makes it hard. Okay, what makes it hard is that all of us, whether you like it or not, we have a certain pride in the things that we do, the thoughts that we have, the things that we say. You know, we have a certain pride. We believe in our sense of esteem and intelligence, that what you are doing makes sense. But when somebody give a feedback that somewhat disturb that, you know, it kind of make you uncomfortable. That there are things that you can do that can help hopefully mitigate that. For instance, ask clarifying questions. Okay, clarify. You know, now when you clarify, here is what it means. Example, what you do sometimes can be misinterpreted. That means the person have a different perspective, and they use that perspective to that lens to see the thing. So you want to do is to clarify, you know, how that conclusion come about. So you seek a lot of clarifying questions. You also want to understand, is there a messaging issue? That means the message has been projected wrongly. Misinterpreted, projected wrongly, or somebody has sent the message, or you have done something that, you know, have created that difference in perspective. So never hesitate to ask clarifying questions in a respectful manner. All right, and for as long as you do that respectfully with this person, if the person is genuine, they will give you the time of the day to give you that feedback. All right. However, if the person is out there, is not being genuine and all that, and just want to be critical, you know, and you can also have a certain personality to say that, look, if the person is not the right person, you may not think that this is an opinion that matters to you as well. So it's the way of how you position, whether do you respect this person, that's why this person's opinion kind of disturb you. But if you don't, if you have very little or no respect for that person, then probably that person's opinion may not matter too much. So go through that whole process of clarifying.
Thanks.
Okay. Thanks a lot.
Okay. Thanks, Meng Chai. I think this is what we already have for today. Thank you again. I want to say, whoever here, for me, I felt very good. If you really like it, give Meng Chai a big hand. You can click on the icon so that you can see a bit of like things coming out. Right. Thanks again. I also want to click myself.
Yeah. Thank you so much for the opportunity. Yeah. And I hope you get some value out from here. And I do wish you guys a great new year. And may 2022 be your best year yet.
Right. You know, best is good, but we strive for the greatest. Hope that you enjoyed the session and learned something today. If you love this video, do tune in and subscribe to the 1010 Book Club. Please check out the video's recommendation right here. And thank you for watching, and I'll be seeing you again in the next video. Bye bye and happy learning.